Hey y'all, hey, it's Galunda and I'm back. And today we're going to be talking about emotional intelligence. If you are new here, I'm an emotional awareness coach and I help people to identify and recognize their emotions so that they can have more joy and calm in their lives. Okay, this video is inspired by me watching some videos from Daniel Goldman. I have read several of his books. I read his articles all the time. And emotional intelligence is the phrase that you hear more often, although I often refer to what I'm doing more around emotional awareness. But in any case, neither here nor there. The reason why I wanted to talk about the subject today is for a couple of reasons. One, I think it's really important to be able to understand your emotions in terms of being able to navigate this world. And two, you don't see that many people that look like me talking about emotional intelligence, right? I mostly see white men, just to be frank and forward and upfront. I rarely see black women talking about emotional intelligence. And I kind of figured, well, maybe some people don't know or aren't listening because the people talking about it, they can't relate to. So I read about this stuff all the time, y'all. So let's talk about it, right? Emotional intelligence is different than intelligent quotient, right? The IQ is about your book learning, right? How you can perform on tests. Emotional quotient or EQ, your emotional intelligence, is how you can recognize and manage emotions within yourself and in interaction with others. So one example that Daniel Goldman gave that I thought was a really great example was IQ will help you get the job, EQ helps you keep the job. Because IQ, standardized things, lots of people may have that. So you get into the job, you're at the level playing field. But the people who are successful are those who have a high emotional intelligence level. Now, the reasons why, there's many. You can go watch his videos yourself about that. But I want to talk about two of the four domains that he has outlined for measuring emotional intelligence, right? So he has self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. Now, those last two really are outside of my area of quote-unquote expertise. I mean, they're important, but they're not the ones that I focus on. I'm more of a self-awareness and self-management person. Within these four domains, he has outlined additional levels that make up qualities of people who have higher levels of emotional intelligence. Now, for self-awareness, the characteristic is emotional self-awareness, right? And this is the area where I find the most interesting and that I read about, and that hopefully those that I work with find that I am able to help them improve this, right? The second area is in self-management. And self-management includes emotional self-control, adaptability, achievement orientation, and positive outlook. Okay? Why is emotional awareness so important? Because it allows you to be able to understand on another level your environment and yourself, right? It is that X factor that allows you to be able to move through this world with a tiny bit of advantage. Now, I don't know if you've seen these people in the world who are going off, blowing up. You might even have a supervisor that yells, that has poor emotional control. These are the type of people that people don't want to deal with, right? But the people who have empathy for others, the people who have a good management over their own emotions, those are the people that people want to be around. Now, I'm bringing this up because you might be one of those people who poorly manage your emotions. And I'm here to tell you that this is not an innate characteristic. This is something that can be learned, and this is something that is learnable, right? It can be learned and it's learnable. You can learn to manage your emotions, but it all starts with self-awareness. That means you have to pay attention to yourself. You have to pay attention to what's going on with you, right? And this is the challenge for a lot of people because they're on the move. They're going from here to here to here to here, right? They're always on to the next. And this is where mindfulness is a foundational practice to help you with your emotional awareness. Mindfulness is the practice of paying attention on purpose in the moment without judgment. And that without judgment is extremely important. I talked about that in a previous video, right? Mindfulness is slowing down and not rushing to the next thing, right? For example, if you are in a situation where, let's say, you stub your toe, right? And you're like, oh, my toe hurts, but I got to hurry up because I got to get on to this other thing. I promise you, it is not going to be to your detriment to take a moment or two and assess about how you feel with your stubbed toe. Because you could find out later that it's broken. But because you didn't take a few minutes to kind of assess. And I give that very tangible example in hopes that you can see how this could apply to your emotions as well, right? So for example, a lot of times you may be going through some emotions and you feel very angry about a situation, right? Anger is a very normal emotion. There's no positive or negative to it unless you don't control it, right? Like if you act out on it. However, many times when we feel anger, it is a we are using anger to mask the fact that we have fear or we have anxiety around something, right? So one of the things that you can do as a practice of mindfulness is to come with curiosity. And the next time that you're angry about something, ask yourself, am I really upset about this thing? Or do I have anxiety about some other thing that might be related to it? Or am I fearful of what might come because of said thing? Because you really might not be angry. You might be fearful or you might have anxiety, right? Circling this back around, though, is the fact that you have to learn, you have to make the decision. I'm not even going to say learn. The first step is to make the decision that you are going to pay more attention to yourself. None of this emotional intelligence, emotional awareness can work unless you start with yourself, right? This could be as simple as noticing when you are feeling hotter in a situation, or you might be feeling cooler in a situation, right? Your body gives you signs, and we often ignore them. And if you are a woman, you are doubly ignoring them. Okay? So I'm inviting you to stop ignoring these signs, right? If you start to sweat, okay, pay attention to what's going on. And we're not talking about hormonal things. We're talking about in response to emotional or maybe mental stressors, right? Do you notice that you're balling your fist up? Do you notice that you're starting to tap your leg or tap your foot? Your body will sense and respond and attempt to self-regulate these emotions when we move on to ignore them. And these, many of these are signs of self-regulation, right? Tapping the leg, stuff like that. Even if you maybe have itchiness or allergic reaction, when it's seemingly you have had no contact with anything that would cause a reaction, that could be your body's response to some emotions that you are ignoring or that you are suppressing. So, in this initial discussion of emotional intelligence, my area that I care most about is your emotional awareness. And I'd invite you to perhaps not even spend a whole day, right? But maybe designate an hour or two, or maybe even an entire morning or afternoon, and log how you're feeling at different points in the day. And you might say, Galanda, this is ridiculous. You want me to sit down and write about how I feel at every given moment? Yes, I do, right? It's to help you start to focus and notice some things about yourself and how you respond to situations that you might not be aware of. Okay? So, if you didn't know, hopefully now you understand the importance of emotional intelligence. I'll be frank. Emotional intelligence is not a word that I like to use often, but I'm going to start to use it more because I want more persons of color to understand how important it is to understand their emotions first so that they can then make other choices that's better for their overall life, personally and professionally. Until next time, bye-bye.